This guy is a martial arts master who gets stronger just by walking. But he acts like a fool every day to hide his true power. So all his classmates make fun of him, calling him a loser with no martial arts talent. Even his only girlfriend broke up with him. Until one day, the system forces you to kiss a member of the opposite sex within 30 seconds. As a reward, you'll get the supreme double pupils. And ancient desolate sacred body, 3 top treasures. The guy thought even a dog wouldn't buy that. But you still can't help looking around for the prettiest face nearby, and kissed her right in front of everyone. All the students present were stunned by this scene. His girlfriend Liu Ruyan was also dumbfounded. Congratulations, host. System activated successfully. Reward. Advanced to all-around high-level martial artist. And cold weapon sacred body. Any cold weapon in your hands will unleash its maximum power. I was totally confused when I heard that. Wait, you promised the supreme double pupils. An ancient desolate sacred body? Where are they? Damn you, system, how dare you lie to me? Right then, Anran was pushed away hard, and an 18-meter-long broadsword was pointed right at him. Hey perv, wanna kiss my big broadsword instead? Only then did Anran realize who he'd kissed. Was the daughter of a prestigious martial arts family. The onlookers started hooting and jeering right away. Calm down, miss. Spare his life. Just chop off one of his hands. His ex-girlfriend, Liu Ruyan and Mei Jibo, stared at each other in shock with eyes wide open. He kissed Xiao Jue. Is he tired of living? That's the Xiao family, one of the 4 top martial arts families in Modu. Xiao Jue is the only daughter of the family head. Anran bowed a standard 90 degrees to apologize. Sumimasen, miss. I didn't do it on purpose. After hearing what he said, Xiao Jue felt even more wronged. She never expected her first kiss would be taken by this random stranger for no reason at all. Thinking of this, she spun the cold moon broadsword above her head wildly. You can talk to my broadsword about that. Anran looked at this cute, ferocious lady and couldn't help trembling a little. Everyone knew right away Anran couldn't dodge this blow. He'd definitely get cut in half. But unexpectedly, Anran just leaned to the side and dodged it, and a wild, overbearing aura burst out from his body, blowing everyone around him stumbling backwards. Xiaoxue was so shocked she forgot to pull back her sword. The cold moon broadsword hit the ground directly. Sorry, we'll chat later. Anran jumped up with a leap, stepped on the hood of Meijibo's Malali and ran off. A gust of wind swept up behind him and flipped the sports car right over. Hey perv, don't you dare run! Xiaoxue immediately chased after him with her broadsword. Meijibo and Liu Ruyan finally snapped out of their shock, touched the blood on their foreheads and looked at each other in frustration. Is he really an ordinary person? Could an ordinary person pull off that kind of power just now? Just then, a Lamborghini pulled up next to the crowd. 2 men in black in the car were drinking orange juice. They saw Xiaoxue chasing someone with a broadsword and were totally shocked, and quickly asked passersby what had happened. Huh, you guys don't know yet. It's super exciting. That pretty girl just got kissed by that young guy. When Hua Wen and Hua Wu heard that, their faces instantly turned pale. We're done! We're so dead! If the family head finds out about this, we'll get skinned alive. They were the personal bodyguards assigned to protect Xiao Jue, but Xiao Jue didn't want to draw too much attention, so she told them to stay away unless it's an emergency. Meanwhile, Anran used his Godspeed meteor skill, and easily left Xiao Jue far behind him. He even looked back from time to time at Xiao Jue, who was still fuming with rage. Xiao Jue's face was bright red with anger. She was a proper level 2 tier 3 high-level martial artist, and had trained in speed-focused martial arts. Her running speed already hit 100 kilometers per hour, but she still couldn't catch up to him. Anran smiled slightly. Spend 10,000 points to upgrade my realm. Remaining rascal points 1,000. You've trained hard for 3 years, and finally upgraded your realm to level 2. This is your well-deserved victory. Using the reward I got from kissing you to fight against you now, Anran was actually low-key enjoying this. But Anran didn't have any martial arts skills or techniques right now, so he didn't dare to actually fight Xiao Jue head-on. He could shake her off completely in just a little while. Just then, Hua Wen and Hua Wu drove the Lamborghini at 150 km/h and pulled up next to Xiao Jue. Get in the car, young miss! When Xiao Jue saw this, she jumped onto the roof of the car in one leap, looking like a Valkyrie standing there with her broadsword. Please sit inside the car, young miss. You're scaring us half to death doing that. Hua Wen and Hua Wu were sweating bullets. Xiao Jue just looked totally non-committal. That makes it way easier for me to cut her down. Full speed ahead. Anran glanced back over his shoulder. His face changed drastically in an instant. Damn it, that's straight up cheating. Anran can't outrun a sports car right now. He looked left and right frantically, and spotted an old-fashioned residential community. He immediately jumped off the roadside into a narrow alley. The corner of Xiao Jue's mouth curled up slightly. That's a dead end. Keep running. If you'd just taken my strike honestly earlier, I would have let you off the hook. Right behind Xiaoxue, Hua Wen, and Hua Wu scrambled out of the car in a panic. They were just about to follow inside when a huge heavy truck drove past. Ouch, what the hell are you doing? My 3 legs are gonna break. When Anran found himself completely cornered, he reluctantly picked up a discarded crutch on the ground. It was do or die now. Let's test the effect of the Frost Saint body. Xiaoxue was totally dumbfounded. You actually want to fight my broadsword with a stick. Anran lied without even blinking an eye. A crutch is more than enough to deal with you. Xiaoxue felt her dignity was thoroughly insulted. She ground her pearly white teeth so hard they clacked loudly. She immediately sheathed her cold moon blade. Fine, I'll fight you barehanded then. Otherwise, winning would be totally dishonorable. I'm a tier 2 high martial artist after all. What bad luck. I'm also a tier 2 high martial artist. A faint smile appeared on Anran's cold, stern face. Didn't your little girlfriend say you were just an ordinary guy? How come you're a tier 2 high martial artist now? Anran looked completely calm. First of all, she's not my girlfriend anymore. Second, I am a high martial artist now. Looks like you're not just some regular pervert. I have to take you down for good. Combat skill, Ice Snow Rondo. An ice dragon shot towards Anran at top speed. Anran charged straight towards it. He couldn't dodge it at all. But the Godspeed Meteor skill had bonus damage. A wave of scorching yellow aura wrapped tightly around Anran's whole body and slammed directly into the Glacier Dragon. He dared to fight back against the arrogant genius high martial artist. What a brave and fearless maniac. Maniac points plus 1,000. The system's praise almost made Anran feel embarrassed. The two sides were deadlocked for a moment. Anran looked as relaxed as if he was taking a casual walk. They're evenly matched. Wait, no, he's smiling. I'm the one at a disadvantage. As soon as that thought crossed Xiaoxue's mind, she felt her strength draining fast. The next second, Anran put a little more power into his attack and shattered Xiaoxue's ice dragon into tiny pieces. He then charged toward Xiaoxue surrounded by his aura. Panicked, Xiaoxue immediately did a backflip to try and dodge. The strong gust of aura blew Xiaoxue's clothes all over the place. Anran accidentally glanced up for a second and caught a glimpse of the gap between her twin peaks and the tiny hint of color between those two jade-white mounds. Red panda print. Anran mumbled softly under his breath, but Xiaoxue was super sharp. She heard Anran's gross comment. Tears were already welling up in her eyes again. She said coldly in an adorably fierce tone, "Pervert! Pervert! Pervert! You're taking advantage of me again." Anran was both helpless and confused. It's not like I can poke my own eyes out to avoid looking, right? Speaking your mind bluntly in front of a pretty girl. What a totally shameless maniac. Maniac points, play 500. Hey system, why are you dragging me like that? I'm kinda upset now, you know? Well, you shouldn't have said it out loud. Xiaoxue stamped her foot furiously. She's fuming, she's totally fuming. She then drew her cold moon blade again. Didn't you say fighting like this would be dishonorable? Anran let out a mocking snort. Xiaoxue got into an attacking stance immediately. It's way better than losing to you, take this. Xiaoxue used an S tier. Tier 2 martial skill. Blood Moon Wild Dance Blade Technique. Xiaoxue swung her cold moon blade around rapidly. Wave after wave of cold energy flew nonstop towards Anran, blocking all of his possible escape routes. With the Snow Moon Wild Dance Blade paired with Cold Moon Blade, I'm unbeatable among all Tier 2 martial artists. You're dead meat. A faint hint of worry crossed Anran's face. Looks like it's time for the crutch to show its power. Let's test the might of the Crutch Saint body. He held the crutch horizontally in front of him and spun it fast, releasing a wave of scorching red aura, which smacked all the cold blade strikes away. Your moves are slower than a grandma in a wheelchair. Anran laughed as he held the crutch and stabbed it straight towards Xiaoxue's lower abdomen. Xiaoxue was struck with sudden fear. The cold energy from her cold moon blade paired with the Snow Moon Wild Dance Blade technique was actually forced back by a damn crutch. She puffed out her cheeks as she held her injured tiny waist and started crying hard, tears streaming down her face. The main reason she was so angry was that she was being completely overpowered. The arrogant heart of that poor genius girl defeated that proud high martial genius girl in a humiliating way. What a brave and invincible maniac. Maniac gets 3,000 extra points. Anran felt totally relieved. Then he looked at the person sitting cross-legged on the ground and felt a little bad for Xiaoxue, who was crying her eyes out. Xiaoxue wiped her tears away, suddenly pointed at Anran and stammered, Are you a freshman? I was supposed to be one of the top freshmen. How did I get thrashed this badly by a random, unknown poison-type freshman from my department?" Anran's face twitched a little. "Hey, don't cry, okay? You're actually super strong already. You even made me use my crutch. That's pretty impressive, you know? After hearing what Anran said, Xiaozhu cried even harder and added, I only wanted to give the flower to the prettiest girl here. But some guy behind me elbowed me by accident. I didn't mean to kiss you, I swear. Anran lied without even flinching. The prettiest girl. Xiaozhu's face flushed bright red again. Is he talking about me? She wondered. Anran smiled and nodded. Also, that was my first kiss. So you didn't lose out on anything, okay? Right at that moment, not far away, a wide, glowing black abyss rift appeared. 2 pairs of glowing green eyes stared straight at Anran and Xiaozhu. The second Xiaozhu saw the full figure of the creature. Her face immediately dropped. She gripped her cold moon knife tight and blurted out, Shadow Blood Demon. Its level is at least tier 3. We need to get out of here right now. I'll call the Supervision Bureau to handle this, tier 3. Anran glanced back at the panicking Xiaozhu. Is it that strong? Why are we running? Xiaozhu rolled her eyes at Anran. Under normal circumstances, a tier 3 is around 3 times stronger than a tier 2. Even if we're both geniuses, we can't take it on without getting seriously hurt. I'm tier 2 level 3 anyway, what about you? Anran exhaled casually. Tier 2 level 1. What? You're even lower level than me. A flicker of disappointment crossed Xiaozhu's delicate face. She rubbed her chest with her left hand. Then we should really get out of here now. If we run away rashly right now, the creature will only think you're weak and jump right at you. By now, the Shadow Blood Demon finished sizing them up and thought it could take on the 2 brats in front of it. It immediately released a cloud of blood mist shooting towards them. The blood mist broke right through Xiaozhu's cold aura layer and ice dragon. Xiaozhu felt a repulsive force fling her away, and she went flying straight through the air. Anran watched the girl flying towards him, his eyes wide with shock. He instinctively threw his crutch aside, opened his arms and caught her in a tight hug. The strong impact made Anran lose his balance. He stumbled a few steps and fell back. Ouch! 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 Anran opened his eyes. Xiaozhu's hair was stuck up his nose, and he smelled a soft, nice fragrance. Then he felt something soft under his hands. He squeezed it twice without thinking, pervert. Xiaozhu glanced at Anran and saw his restless hands. Her face, already porcelain white, flushed bright red again instantly. Anran awkwardly let go of her. Hey, don't blame me. It's not my fault you're that squishy. Now's not the time to argue about this. Let's figure out how to get rid of that monster first. At this point, the Shadow Blood Demon was spewing blood mist while moving towards them. Then it sent another wave of blood mist that was way faster than the previous one. Anran stood in front of Xiaowek to block her. Golden light clashed directly with the blood mist. If my ice-sacred body can thrash this woman, even with just a crutch, I'll be totally overpowered. If I use her knife, right? Hey, let's team up for a sec. Lend me your knife for a minute. After saying that, he held up the cold moon knife high and swung it sideways with all his strength. In an instant, the cold moon knife released a several meters wide white cold wave blade, followed by a sweeping ice-cold gale. The Shadow Blood Demon sensed an unprecedented threat, but it was too late for it to dodge. The white cold wave blade cut it in half mercilessly, and just like that, the fight was over. Xiaozhu opened her eyes and saw the bloodied corpse of the Shadow Blood Demon, then shakily looked at Anran's smiling face. Her legs gave out beneath her, and she collapsed on the ground. Anran walked past her. Damn, I'm totally drained of energy. I should go home and rest. Xiaozhu turned to look at Anran's tall, imposing figure. Her face still flushed red. She yelled anxiously, He's so hot. So strong. What's your name? Tell me what your name is. Anran stopped walking. He said quietly, We don't need to tell each other our names. We don't need to have anything to do with each other in the future either. Then he walked off coolly and vanished into the ancient alley. Xiaozhu was stunned at first. Then the corner of her pink lips curled up slightly. Oh, really? That's not up to you. The next day, in the training room of the Xiao family, a burly middle-aged man with thick eyebrows and big eyes looked serious. What's wrong with Xiaoxue? I was only gone for 1 day. She locked herself up alone in there and is sulking. Patriarch, you'd better take a look at this yourself. We've already taken the video down from the entire internet. The second Xiaoyang laid eyes on it. He almost fainted on the spot. What the actual fuck? Who's this little punk kid? Everyone present jolted in shock. Everyone knows Xiaoyang is a total daughter doter. Someone's gonna die for this. What the hell are Hua Wen and Hua Wu even doing? Call them over later and give them a good beating. Patriarch, those two got hit by a truck. They're in the hospital right now. Hearing that, Xiaoyang pushed the door open with a stern face. Xiaozhue, Daddy's gonna get justice for you. Right now, Xiaoxue was swinging the cold moon saber. At a speed of 1 strike per second at a purple gold training dummy, she was slashing at it like crazy. Every strike carried sharp killing intent and icy cold energy. The dummy was already completely unrecognizable. If you look closer, the name Anran was neatly written on the dummy, with a water-based marker. Seeing his daughter like this, Xiaoyang's heart was about to break. He opened his arms and hugged Xiaojue. "Daddy, am I really a genius?" Xiaoyang was shocked when he heard that. He patted Xiaojue's head and said, "What makes you say that? You reached rank 2 in just 3 months. Who dares say you're not a genius?" Then Xiaogak told Xiaoyang everything that happened. After she kissed that guy, from start to finish, Xiaoyang was pretty shocked this time. "You mean he wasn't a high-level martial artist before? He defeated you who was holding the cold moon saber, with just a crutch, and then saved you. Then he used your cold moon saber to kill a shadow blood demon." Xiaojue wiped away her tears and nodded hard. Oh, so his daughter wasn't upset about losing her first kiss. She was upset that some random no-name kid beat her so easily. That kid's appearance clearly shook her entire worldview and wounded her pride. Of course, there was another very important point. What was Xiaojue's attitude towards that little punk now? "You don't care about your first kiss anymore." "What are you talking about?" Xiaojue got flustered. She pulled away from her father's hug. Her face flushed bright red. "Who says I don't care? I want to chop him into pieces." "All right then, I'll tell Asi to throw him into the Black Pujiang River to feed the fish." "No!" Xiaoque realized what she just said. Her face turned completely red in an instant. "Wait, no! He's a human being after all, you can't kill him. Just teach him a little lesson, that's enough. Besides, he did save my life." "Fine then, have someone chop his hands off." Xiaoyang deliberately raised his voice and Xiaozhu snapped, "How dare you!" Xiaozhu glared at Xiaoyang angrily. Her cheeks puffed out. Xiaoyang snickered, "Hehehe." Xiaoshu, who'd been caught out, stomped her foot in anger. "I'm ignoring you, Daddy." Later, in his private room, Xiaoyang said to Asi, "Go kidnap that kid for me right now." Asi looked confused for a second. "Throw him into the river." Xiaoyang looked at Asi like he was an idiot. Throw him into what river? He has to be completely unharmed. Especially that handsome face of his. Not a single scratch on it. Also, get someone to look into his background right away. Family situation, relationship history, and his moral character. Oh right, check his birth horoscope too. At Singfu Community Madu, his bro Joe Peng was sitting on a computer chair. And Ran, it's no use hiding out at my place. If they want to find you, they'll track down my place real quick. Just go apologize honestly. Maybe you can even hitch yourself to that big rich family and have some epic star-crossed romance. Ran was lying on the edge of the bed and rolled his eyes at him. I'll be lucky if I get out of this with a full corpse. Right at that moment, the door was kicked open with a bang. 4 men in black immediately appeared by the doorway. The leader was a huge, tall guy, covered in muscles. He had a kill character tattooed on his face. Zhang Tianzhuang looked menacing as hell. "Don't resist. We're looking for Anran." Anran heard a little noise and leaned out from the bedroom and smacked right into Zhang Tianzhuang's huge buff chest. "Hi." Anran forced an awkward smile. He then tried to use his Godspeed meteor technique to run away. Unexpectedly, Zhang Tianzhuang pulled out a thin rope that glowed with blue light and precisely tied him up within 1 second. Anran was all wrapped up with only his head exposed. Anran suddenly realized the harder he struggled, the tighter the ropes binding him got. "Don't waste your energy. This is an S-tier treasure, the sky binding rope." Zhang Tianzhuang let out a cold sneer. Anran was totally screwed right then. Zhang Tianzhuang and his men just hoisted him up. "Don't touch my kun." Inside a Maybach car, Zhang Tianzhuang sat next to Anran, staring at him playfully. "Don't even think about running away. I'm a level 6 high-rank martial artist. I can kill you in a single move. You messed with our young lady. You're definitely not getting off easy." About an hour later, Zhang Tianzhuang roughly shoved Anran into an airtight room made of crystal. Then he took off the sky-binding rope and the head cover and closed the door. The bright lights turned on. A well-dressed, middle-aged man sat on a tall purple-gold throne, was staring daggers at him. "Do you know who I am?" Anran scratched his head. "A high-ranking member of the Xiao family. Either way, you're super important." Xiaoyang snickered. "I'm Xiaoyang. Yeah, that's Xiaoyang." Hearing those 2 words, Anran thought he was going to get a concussion from shock. There's nothing left to say. Kill me or torture me, do whatever you want. After hearing that, Xiaoyang calmly sized and ran up. Not bad, fine facial features. Super handsome, full of energy and spirit. Your birth dates are a perfect match too. He's an orphan. No family conflicts to worry about either. His character is top-notch. Only issue is he has an ex-girlfriend. That's pretty annoying. Who knows if he's still hung up on her? After thinking for a bit, Xiaoyang immediately put on a stern face. "You're not scared of dying." Anran looked straight into Xiaoyang's eyes. looking totally righteous. It's not that I'm not scared of death, but since I'm gonna die anyway, instead of begging for my life on my knees, I'd rather die with dignity. Xiaoyang was really impressed deep down, but he acted snarky on the surface. Anyone can talk big. We'll see if you're all talk when I make a move. Hearing that, Anran just closed his eyes. Xiaoyang's gaze darkened. He stood still, then suddenly his eyes flew wide open. He raised his thick right hand and swung it down towards Anran's crown. The bone-crushing palm strike came in an instant. A scalding heat wave rapidly gathered from the palm of Xiaoyang's right hand and formed a patch of blazing red flames, just like surging ocean waves. This powerful force quickly condensed into a fierce and majestic tiger head. It opened its giant bloody maw, showing off its sharp, pointy teeth. Anran was completely caught up in it, like he was the prey in the tiger's mouth. Anran felt like the air around him was slightly trembling from the other's immense power. That power felt like an invisible wall, shoving him hard backwards. Is this the so-called aura of a master? But Anran stayed standing the whole time. At this critical moment, the Godspeed meteor skill activated on its own. A yellow aura wrapped completely around Anran and intertwined with Xiaoyang's power, facing a level 9 powerhouse and choosing to die with dignity. What a bloodthirsty madman. Madman points play 5,000. Xiaoyang's expression shifted slightly. Even though he'd heard from Xiaojue about some of Anran's abilities, he was still a little shocked seeing it in person. He originally just wanted to scare Anran, but now that changed. Hit him lightly, even though it was light. A casual strike from a regular level 9 powerhouse is enough to instantly kill a level 2 martial artist. The loud noise and violent shaking made Anran lose his balance and stumble back a few steps sharply. Then he opened his eyes dazedly and saw Xiaoyang, smiling at him. Wait, am I dead and dreaming in heaven? Xiaoyang's gaze had a mix of sternness, joy, and shock. Anran could nearly match his casual strike, evenly. Is he really just a level 2 high-rank martial artist? Xiaoyang thought to himself if it were Xiaojue he could blow and kill his precious daughter instantly. At the same time, Xiaoyang confirmed Anran's biggest character strength, pressure. Can't break his will. That's the greatest treasure Anran has. So you're not gonna kill me. Anran came back to his senses and looked at Xiaoyang hesitantly. Xiaoyang's eyes kept darting over Anran's body, and he came up with an idea. I'm gonna ask you a few questions. You better answer them properly, okay? Or else, Anran was slightly stunned. He felt an unprecedented oppressive pressure.
Chapter 7. It's enough that Xiaojue is interesting.
Xiaoyang stared fixedly at Anran. He had an aura of authority even without being angry, just like a fierce tiger. He asked casually but very seriously, "Why did you kiss Xiaojue?" Faced with this question, Anran quickly thought up several answers in his head, wondering which answer would let him die more easily or even get to stay alive. Finally, he fell back on his old trick, with a serious look on his face. It was none other than Xiaoyang. Well, I wanted to send flowers to your daughter, but someone pushed me from behind. So, Anran said without blushing or skipping a beat. He couldn't exactly say the system forced him to kiss someone, and that he'd taken a fancy to Xiaoxue at first sight, right? But Xiaoyang was obviously not satisfied with this answer. His face turned dark and he exuded a cold, killing aura. Are you fooling me with this answer? Besides, why would you send flowers to Xiaojue? Weren't those flowers for your ex-girlfriend? Are you using Xiaojue as a tool for revenge? My Xiaojue is so beautiful. Doesn't she deserve someone who wants to send her flowers sincerely? Xiaoyang's tone grew more and more gloomy, but his hint was already quite obvious. Anran's body jolted sharply, thinking to himself that he had to answer properly this time, so he cleared his throat. Here's the thing. Those flowers were indeed for my ex-girlfriend, but when I caught a casual glimpse of Xiaojue, I realized I was wrong. Wrong about what? Anran put on a completely enchanted look. My flowers can only be given to an angel, and there's only one angel in the world. That's Xiaoxue. I fell for her for a lifetime the second I saw her. It was love at first sight. For that last line, Anran's tone was very serious. He looked straight at Xiaoyang with shining eyes, looking like he was totally sincere about his feelings for Xiaojue. Xiaoyang's expression began to soften. Although he didn't rule out the possibility that Anran was acting, at least he was willing to put on a show, right? It looked like he had passed the test. Anran breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. Xiaoyang's tone softened a lot. Next question, why did you hide your strength before? And you didn't have any power during the awakening ceremony. In Xiaoyang's mind, this question was just as important as the last one. This kid, Anran's talent was shockingly good. Hide his strength. Anran was stunned for a moment. Only then did he remember he had to figure out how to explain the issue of his power, so he quickly made up a lie on the spot. Well, when the awakening was held in June, it showed I had no power. I only found out a few days ago that I had actually already awakened my power. You know, the awakening ceremony has a tiny margin of error. Ayn Rand wasn't lying completely without basis. There have actually been cases like this in history. He couldn't exactly say the system gave him the power, right? Even if he dared to say it, no one would believe him anyway. Xiaoyang couldn't help but glance Ayn Rand up and down again, feeling like there seemed to be some deep secret hidden in Ayn Rand. It was the intuition of a top-tier strong person. Why didn't you tell anyone? You could have gone to the martial arts department. In this world, high-level martial artists live way better than ordinary people, because I want to live an ordinary life. I don't want to worry about dealing with xenomorphs, which means I don't have to face more annoying, troublesome stuff. Ayn Rand calmly made up another excuse right there. Hearing this, Xiaoyang couldn't help but let out a loud, bold laugh. Ha ha ha, then your plan might just fall through. Looks like he passed the test again. Ayn Rand breathed another sigh of relief, then put on a bitter smile right away. I see, so Ayn Rand suddenly summoned up his courage and looked at Xiaoyang very solemnly. Why didn't you kill me? Actually, Ayn Rand already had his own answer in his heart. Now it was Xiaoyang's turn to feel a little awkward. He couldn't just say his real purpose out loud. That would make him lose face as such an important big shot. Xiaoyang also started lying. He narrowed his eyes and grunted, This is Xiaojue's request. She said even though you kissing her was very hateful. But you were the one who saved her from the third-class xenomorph in the end. Saving a life is a huge favor. Fine, whatever you say goes. Ayn Rand was too tired to complain about this obvious lie. In the end, Xiaoyang still let Ayn Rand go. Before he left, he patted Ayn Rand on the shoulder and told him earnestly and sincerely, get along well with Xiaojue in the future. Ayn Rand was so stunned when he heard that. Then he was put in a blindfold and sent to that Maybach. In the car, Jiang Tianxiong pressed Ayn Rand's shoulder and said with a flattering smile, good luck, kid. You'll get to live an easy, cushy life off your wife later if you play it right. Ayn Rand's face immediately turned dark again. Xiaoyang's plan is so obvious that even this big dumb guy has picked up on it. On the way back, Ayn Rand sent Zhou Peng a message saying she was safe and told Zhou Peng she only got threatened a little. The Xiao family is totally decent. Suit yourself if you don't believe it. After Ayn Rand left, Asi came out from a hidden door on the left, looking suspicious. Does the family head really think highly of him? Xiaoyang gave Asi a meaningful glance. Ayn Rand is good-looking and talented, has good character and a will of steel. He's also an orphan, with no backing from other ambitious families or forces. Then Xiaoyang paused for a moment, lifted his head and sighed, his tone full of sadness. The most important thing is, Xiaogak has a crush on him. That's all that matters. My daughter won't be a victim of the tragedy called political marriage. Xiaoyang had struggled with this before, as his only daughter, Xiaojue, is also the most talented of the Xiao family's new generation. Naturally, his selfish wish is for Xiaojue to take over his position in the future. But as a woman, that means she will face a lot of difficulties. It's best to have a strong, capable partner to help her. But if she marries for alliance with some powerful families, those families will eventually covet the Xiao family's assets. So the best option is to find an outstanding young man from a less powerful family. The next best is a very talented commoner with no family backing. But like I said before, Xiaojue's opinion matters the most. The tragedy of political marriage is something Xiaoyang doesn't want to repeat on Xiaojue. Asi also understood Xiaoyang's reasoning, so he asked tentatively, so do we need to do our best to help Ayn Rand from now on? Xiaoyang glanced at Asi and snorted a laugh. Just give him a push at critical moments. I don't want a guy who only lives off his girlfriend's family. If he wants to marry into the Xiao family, he must at least be able to, on his own strength, dominate the entire senior year 5 division of Magic City University. This is the test called Crossing the Dragon Gate. Oh, right. Send Xiaoxue the recording of what that kid said just now. Xiaoyang suddenly curled the corners of his mouth up slightly, looking like he's gossiping about his own daughter. Asi snickered too, and gave an okay gesture. The Xiao family's luxurious ladies' bathroom. Xiaoxue was in a bathtub full of rose petals, blowing on the hot steam rising from the water. She tapped her pink lips with her slender fingers occasionally, and gently squeezed her breast with both hands sometimes. Each move made the young girl's heart flutter. A message came in. It was a recording from fourth uncle. Xiaoxue picked up the phone next to her and opened the recording. My flowers can only be given to an angel, and there's only one angel. That's Xiaoxue. I fell for her the second I laid eyes on her. Love at first sight. Xiaoxue jolted all over, a surprised and happy smile appearing on her face. That's Ayn Rand's voice. Then her cheeks flushed bright red all at once, like a fully ripe strawberry. A wave of heat rushed to her chest, her body trembling involuntarily. Shy and flustered, Xiaojue buried her entire body in the warm bathwater, trying to hide that inexplicable shyness and awkwardness. When she realized there was no one else around, she couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. So she carefully poked her head out of the water again, revealing her pair of bright, clear eyes. She looked around curiously, then she let out a shy little laugh, feeling confused about her reaction just now. What's wrong with me? There's no way Impossible, I'm not a silly boy crazy girl. Xiaojue was over the moon. But Enran was having a hard time. The way things were going was crazier than a novel plot. I never wanted to live off a woman anyway. Enran mumbled in his room, then a ding sound went off. Soft rice system? Well done, you shameless kept man. Reward talent, spirit body. Living off a woman is awesome. Enran laughed. Enran looked at the description of Spirit Body Talent 3. Spirit Body? You are a strong-willed powerhouse. Independence and self-reliance are your life principles. Your mental power is unmatched. Greatly boosts the power of your mental skills. And your resistance to mental attacks. The boost effect increases as your cultivation level rises. This talent stays active only when you are living off a woman. Otherwise, it will be revoked. Enran was speechless. Is this system forcing me to live off a woman? Fine, I'll do it, okay? Enran thought this talent was super useful. There's a type of high-level martial artist who specializes in mental attacks. They often hide in the dark and launch sneak attacks, killing people without leaving a trace. There are often cases where physical-type, high-level martial artists get killed by someone of lower level. Cases where high-level psychic warriors succeed in sneak attacks. Now that I have this talent myself, maybe I can stop this kind of thing from happening entirely. I'm so damn strong. Enran couldn't help sighing to himself. The only problem right now is how to break into the high martial arts world, learn cultivation methods and martial skills, and blow everyone's mind. Do I really have to rely on a woman to get ahead? Just then, he received a WeChat message. Favorite heart. Enran, are you still alive? Offending Xiaojue is a death sentence. You can tell from this message. Chen Xin is super smug right now. This made Enran really pissed off. What's wrong with this guy? He's so full of himself, isn't he? Enran replied, none of your damn business, then blocked Chen Xing immediately. In a restaurant somewhere, Chen Xing looked at Meijibo in confusion. He's still alive. Did Xiaojue let him off? Meijibo couldn't figure it out no matter how hard he thought. There's no way Enran got some cheat code, right? Beat Xiaojue first, then beat all the people the Xiao family sent over. Or maybe Xiaojue even took a liking to Enran. Neither of these scenarios is possible. Absolutely impossible. Unless pigs can fly. It's fine, we'll keep observing him. I bet we'll hear news of his death in a few days. 2 days later, 7:50 a.m. on Monday. Enran stared at his alarm clock that hadn't gone off. His eyes went wide. Fuck. A blur shot straight off the bed. He washed up and got dressed in 5 minutes, and covered the 3-kilometer trip to school in another 5 minutes. Military training for the general department starts today. Even though Enran was thinking about how to get into the high martial arts department, he still decided to follow the rules of a regular student for now. As soon as Enran arrived at the military training assembly point, Zhou Peng, who had a dark circle under one eye, hurried over the second he spotted Enran, looking him up and down, and sighed emotionally. You really are alive. As he said that, Zhou Peng reached out and pinched Enran's face. By now, the surrounding students had started, snickering and pointing at Enran. Get out of here! Enran swatted Zhou Peng's hand away. You're the one who's dead. Isn't that the invincible hottie who force-kissed Xiaojue? Why is he still alive? I thought he'd be dumped in the Black Pew River by now. Dude, you're unbeatable. He should at least be in jail for a few days, right? Wait, did Xiaojue actually get together with him? A tragic romance between a regular person and a high martial artist? Holy shit. So cringe, that's like a stray dog dating a fancy city pet dog. Hello? He's also a high martial artist, okay? If I were the head of the Xiao family, I'd be furious as hell. Enran was speechless. Everyone was treating the whole thing between him and Xiaojue as total gossip material. Enran! The counselor's looking for you for something. You don't have to do military training for now. The class monitor walked over suddenly. With a faint smile on his face, Enran was slightly stunned. Are they gonna punish me? Actually, everyone present thought the same thing, and couldn't help snickering. It was everyone's first day meeting each other, so they didn't have any real bond yet. It's normal for them to enjoy the show. Freshman year, mechanical department, general department. Instructor Liu Yong's office. Liu Yong was smiling obsequiously while using expensive tea to entertain a white-haired young man in a gray-black mage robe. With a grumpy face named Xiaoshen, Next to Xiaoxun sat his assistant, Wu Ju. What student An Ran did is really disgusting. We will decide on his punishment as soon as possible. Liu Yong thought he came because of An Ran. Kissing Xiaoxue, we will strictly put a stop to this kind of ugly behavior among students. Xiaoxun glanced at Liu Yong and said calmly, "You misunderstood. I'm not here to hold him accountable. I'm here to specially recruit him into the High Martial Arts Department." Xiaoxun took out a special recruitment certificate and handed it to Liu Yong. Liu Yong was so shocked he almost slid off the sofa. Wow, this is way too dramatic. After Liu Yong checked that the name, photo, and official stamp on the recruitment certificate were all correct, he was totally dumbfounded. Xiaoxun was also frustrated internally. His third uncle randomly told him to come to the general department to get a student under the name of special recruitment, claiming the kid was extremely gifted. If he's so gifted, why would he end up studying in the general department? On top of that, he's the scumbag who force-kissed his cousin. He really had no idea what his third uncle was thinking. But the face of the Xiao family head. Both he and the admissions office had to give him face. This makes it look like we're pulling strings for him. What will other people say about this? So he had no good feelings towards the upcoming An Ran at all. But what Xiaoyang didn't tell him was, An Ran completely dominated Xiaozhu in a fight, and even killed a third-level xenomorph. Some things you have to see for yourself to feel how shocking they are. That's why Xiaoyang and Xiaoxun made an agreement. Let Xiaoxun assess An Ran in person. Xiaoxun gets to decide how the assessment works. He also has the final say on the result. So this isn't really a special recruitment for An Ran. Xiaoxun's main goal is to temporarily stop unqualified cheaters like An Ran, who got in through connections from joining the High Martial Arts Department. An Ran strode into Liu Yong's office quickly. His talent gave him this kind of confidence. "Hello, Teacher Liu." An Ran nodded politely. Then he spotted the unfamiliar Xiaoxun staring at him with murderous eyes fixed directly on his face. He couldn't help feeling a chill down his spine. When Liu Yong saw the person they were waiting for show up, he sighed in relief and said with a smile, "Oh, you're here. This is Mr. Xiao from the High Martial Arts Department Admissions Office," and his assistant Wu Ju. "He's here today to transfer you to the High Martial Arts Department." An Ran was slightly stunned. He looked over at Xiaoxun. "Wait, his last name is Xiao. Oh, that guy who lives off his wife is pulling strings now. But why does he look so hostile towards me?" "Hello, Teacher Xiao." An Ran bowed politely to Xiaoxun, but Xiaoxun didn't give him a nice reaction at all. "Don't get too excited just yet. I still need to assess you." "Assessment." A small smile appeared on An Ran's face. "I'm so strong anyway. I can pass any assessment easily." "When do we start the assessment?" Xiaoxun gave a cold sneer. "Sit down first, let's talk. Starting right now. Any part of this could be my assessment for you." "Interesting," An Ran mumbled to himself softly. He sat down opposite Xiaoxun. Wu Ju sat down next to An Ran and took out some documents. "Take a look at this document first." After Liu Yong heard their conversation, he immediately made an excuse to go to the bathroom and left. "If they start fighting here later, I'll be the one who gets hurt." Xiaoxun is a level 5 high martial artist after all. Even his assistant is level 3. If they run their assessment here, I'll definitely get caught in the crossfire. When Xiaoxun saw Liu Yong leave, his eyes flickered slightly. He used a level 3 mental skill, Lament Movement. This is a mental attack that activates with eye contact. When activated, everyone within his line of sight can hear extremely sad, mournful sounds that sound like they come straight from hell. People who can't handle it will have a complete mental breakdown and lose all will to fight. "Uncle, didn't you say An Ran was already a level 2 martial artist? So if I use a level 3 mental attack on him, how's he supposed to deal with that?" Xiaoxun felt pretty pleased with himself. Right now, Wu Ju was focused, flipping through the documents in his hand. Suddenly, a strong, weird feeling rushed over him. It sounded like his ears picked up some strange noises, like they were made by countless ghosts, wailing miserably and screaming sharply. The noise got louder and louder, like it was about to pierce his eardrums. At the same time, Wu Ju also started seeing all kinds of terrifying images pop up in front of his eyes. Grotesque, twisted faces, bloody, horrifying scenes, plus creepy ghost figures that make your skin crawl. All these strange sights flooded into his field of vision like a tidal wave. He couldn't get away from any of it. What's worse, his body suddenly started shaking violently, like the whole world was shaking around him. "Ah!" Wu Ju screamed loudly and fell onto the sofa. The documents fell to the floor with a slap. An Ran looked at Wu Ju in shock. "What's wrong with him?" Then his body trembled. "That hellish sound is here." An Ran quickly covered his ears. He felt the weird sensations in his body and looked over at the shocked Xiaoxun. "Oh shit, so the assessment already started." Wu Ju got hit and passed out right away. But this kid is still acting completely normal. Xiaoxun couldn't figure it out. How could a level 2 martial artist block a level 3 mental attack? Unless he's a level 3 or even level 4 high martial artist? No way. That's impossible. While Xiaoxun was still in shock, Anran started getting ready to fight back. When he activated the Shangsing Meteor skill, the second he stood up, Xiaoxun suddenly felt like he'd been electrocuted all over. After trembling a few times, his whole body quickly fell back against the back of the sofa, his face twisted in pain. Anran was confused when he saw this, and deactivated the Shangsing Meteor skill. Xiaoxun got up from the sofa covered in cold sweat. His heart was racing as fast as Tom Cat playing the piano. His face was bright red, only he knew exactly what just happened. His mental attack had been broken. When Anran saw Xiaoxun zoning out, and not reacting at all, he asked confusedly, "What's wrong?" Xiaoxun snapped back to his senses, and finally understood what Xiaoyang had meant. With a friendly smile on his face, extends his right hand. "Welcome to the world of high martial arts. You've successfully countered the attack from a powerful hostile psychic. What a strong-willed maniac. Maniac points plus 3,000. Anran immediately realizes what's going on, points at himself. So that means I passed the test. Xiaoxun walks over to Wuzhu, adjusts his glasses and says, "Hate to admit it, but you really exceeded my expectations. Wake up, I gave you the medicine earlier." Xiaoqing gives Wuzhu a light push. Wuzhu opens his eyes groggily, pulls himself up tiredly, looks at Xiaoxun with lingering fear. "Even though I took the medicine beforehand, when I actually got hit, I still got knocked out cold." Xiaoxun sighs, turns to look at Anran. He's a level 3 high martial artist, took the medicine in advance, and still passed out right away after my level 3 psychic attack. But you countered it. That's why you passed the test. The second Anran countered Xiaoxun's level 3 psychic attack, Xiaoxun had a brief urge to use level 4 or even level 5 psychic attacks. But Xiaoxun isn't an unreasonable guy. He can't use the standards for top graduates. To test Anran, "What? Wuzhu is completely stunned," stares at Anran in disbelief. "You countered Teacher Xiao's psychic attack. What level of high martial artist are you exactly?" "Level 2, tier 2. Wuzhu almost faints when he hears that. A wave of shame washes over him. Look how strong a level 2 guy is. And what level I'm at is a level 3. How embarrassing is that? Anran is also super confused about this. He feels like he didn't do anything at all. It seems that my spirit physique talent is super awesome. What anti-psychic cultivation technique did you practice? Wushu looks at Anran with a gloomy face. Still feels like he's in a dream. Xiaoxun is also quite intrigued. I'm also curious, since you didn't take the martial arts exam, you barely had access to cultivation techniques and martial skills, right? Anran hesitates for a moment, then glances at both of them with a determined look. All right then. I'll be honest with you, I don't have any psychic cultivation techniques, but I have extremely high psychic talent. My willpower is unshakable. Psychic talent. Xiaoxun is shocked in his heart, because Xiaoyang clearly said Anran has 2 talents, speed and cold weapons. When did he get a 3rd talent? Xiaoxun asks tentatively. So tell me, you have 3 talents, right? Anran shakes his head slightly, with a confident look on his face. To be exact, I probably have all-round talent. When Xiaoxun and Wuzhu hear that answer, and see how unnervingly confident he looks, they almost lost it. What are you bragging about? In this world, anyone with more than 2 talents is already an extremely rare genius, obviously. Neither Xiaoxun nor Wushu takes Anran's words seriously. Xiaoxun no dies and says, "Let's go, I'll take you to the senior martial department." The ranking competition for the senior martial department is about to start. The senior martial department is just like the general department. It has its own military training, which is the entrance ranking competition. Each class of every department, for every grade at Madu Senior Martial University, ranked from lowest to highest as GFED. CB, A, S, X, Total 9 tier. The ranking competition determines what education resources you get in the new semester. So naturally, this is the military training for freshmen. Each tier gets different education resources. What? You're asking where fair education is. Don't be silly. Education resources are limited. If we give everyone equal treatment, we'll only end up with a bunch of mediocre high martial artists. The goal of Senior Martial University is to cultivate a certain percentage of top martial artists. Half an hour later, Anran enters the Senior Martial Department. Anran immediately senses the strong aura of powerful people and the vast space inside. Even though students of the Senior Martial Department only make up 20% of the total student body, the Senior Martial Department takes up 80% of the campus area and 80% of the education budget. This is the so-called 80-20 rule, Points can be used to buy all kinds of martial skills, cultivation techniques, weapons, armor, supplements, arrays, and other essential cultivation items. Points cannot be transferred, nor can they be sold for cash, Xiaoshen explains along the way. Of course, there are many ways to earn points. I'll take you to the comprehensive department's freshman meeting first. The senior martial department is divided by talent type into element department, beast taming department, cold weapons department, firearms department, psychic department, spell department, enhancement department, and so on. Of course, for people with multiple talents, they made a separate comprehensive department. Anran originally wanted to join the omnipotent department, but Xiaoshen said that department didn't exist. Anran checked his Gaowu Division 5 account on his phone. All new students get 1,000 points by default. He also looked at the prices of various items. He was speechless. 1,000 points only afford one A-level item. The three of them stopped outside the lecture hall of the comprehensive department. By the way, what on earth is your relationship with Xiao Jue? Or did you make some dirty deals with the Xiao family head? Xiaoshen suddenly leaned close to Anran's ear quietly, with a curious look on his face. After what happened earlier, you should have ended up in the Heipu River under normal circumstances. Anran coughed a few times and said seriously, you know what I mean? Xiaoshen looked confused. I know shit. It's not like I can tell you that the uncle wants you to date Xiao Jue, right? Fine, keep it to yourself then. Xiaoshen was a bit annoyed. Anran also had a question. Then what's your relationship with the Zhao family? Xiaoshen looked super proud and said, I'm the nephew of Xiao Yang. Oh, right. Got it. Anran looked completely speechless. He finally understood why at first. Xiaoshen was so mean to him. Inside the venue, it was super noisy. The check-in area was packed with people. Xiaoxue was sitting gracefully on a separate soft chair. Zhang Tenshong was sitting next to her. Xioma would never allow any boy other than Anran to take advantage of Xiao Jue. Xiao Jue especially wore safety shorts under her skirt today, scared that someone would see her panties again. Her presence caught everyone's attention. Guys admired her, girls envied her. What happened yesterday was their hot gossip topic. Hey, isn't that Xiao Jue? I didn't know she was this pretty until I saw her in person. I heard she got kissed by a pervert yesterday. That's such a waste. I'll duel that guy. Chenshin and Mei Jibo were sitting together, sharing the same cup of cola. They glanced at Xiao Jue from time to time. They were wondering why she didn't get rid of Anne Ran. Xiao Jue crossed her arms. Ignoring all these rumors, suddenly someone yelled at the check-in area, Wait! Why isn't Ran's name on the new student list? Chenshin and Mei Jibo were gazing at each other affectionately a second ago. When they heard Anran's name, they both spat out the cola, in their mouths right onto each other's faces. Why is Anran here? Did he become a Gaowu practitioner? Chenshin subconsciously felt a little disgusted with Mei Jibo. She pulled the straw out without thinking, then stuffed it back in immediately. She looked super guilty. But this action of hers made Mei Jibo really sad. Is Chenshin starting to regret it now? Is the gap between my looks and Anran's really that big? Men have pride, Anran. I will never let you join our Gaowu Division 5. Then Mei Jibo suddenly straightened up, pointed at Xiao Jue righteously and asked, Xiao Jue, you let Anran off? And even let him sneak into Gaowu Division 5. I, Mei Jibo, oppose Anran joining our Gaowu Division 5. We fought through the brutal martial arts exam to get into Madu University. Why the hell can he just walk in directly? Where is the fairness? Where is the justice? Chenshin was shocked by Mei Jibo's action. She sighed in her heart. Am I being too greedy? Wanting everything at once. Mei Jibo's words resonated with a lot of students, especially the male students. What's worse, Enron even defiled Xiao Jue, who was recognized as the #1 goddess of the comprehensive department before school started. This is like someone stealing your wife. We'll never forget this hatred. The crowd immediately started a wave of protests against Enran. Of course, some people thought Mei Jibo was only doing this out of personal grudge. After all, Chenshin is Enran's ex-girlfriend. Xiao Jue's fair, pretty face turned red with anger. She bit her lip tightly and glanced at the crowd with disgust. She was furious in her heart. You guys have no idea how powerful Anran is. Zhang Tianxiang shot a vicious look at Mei Jibo. Kid, you're digging your own grave. You're the son of the Mei family, right? The teachers from the comprehensive department saw how strong the anti-Anran sentiment was at the scene, and they all broke out in a cold sweat. Outside the door, Xiaoshen and Wuju patted Anran's shoulder, sincerely. Go get him, kid. The path to becoming a god has lots of obstacles. This is the first one. How to convince them is all up to you, Anran smiled. The principle of strength supremacy, Anran walked into the venue with his head held high. He shouted at the top of his lungs. Who just made that comment? That was his voice. Xiao Jue's heart skipped a beat. Her face lit up with obvious joy. Her nervous heart was pounding wildly. Everyone else immediately turned their gaze towards where Anran was standing. Anran looked completely calm and composed. There was an intense killing aura in his eyes. He swaggered towards the sign-in desk arrogantly. You can never lose your momentum at a time like this. The crazy thing is, when everyone saw how Anran was carrying himself, they were actually intimidated without even realizing it. They all made way for Anran one after another. Anran thought to himself, "This is probably the buff from my spiritual physique." By the time everyone snapped out of their shock, Anran had already reached the final line of the sign-in sheet and signed his name on it. Ignoring all the protests from the crowd, he stepped resolutely into the High Martial Arts Hall. What an incredibly confident madman. Villain points 500. Up on the speech stage, the principal, a middle-aged man in a formal suit. Joe Guoping watched Anran's performance with satisfaction. He chuckled softly to the teacher next to him. This kid has real spirit. He carries an extraordinary aura. No wonder Xiaoyang thinks so highly of him. I just wonder if his actual strength can match that impressive aura of his. Zhu Guoping had already been informed that Anran had single-handedly killed a Tier 3 aberrant, but he stuck to the principle of seeing is believing. He still had a big question mark in his mind. Anran suddenly lifted his head. His sharp gaze locked onto one direction. He spoke in a harsh, stern tone. "You're the one who hates me the most, right?" Meijibo mustered up all his courage and stepped forward towards Anran. "Yeah, so what? The High Martial Arts Department of Modyu University is a prestigious place. How can we let some backdoor loser sneak in here?" Meijibo spoke with great confidence and self-righteousness. All the male students cheered to show their support. Xiaoxiu shot Meijibo a cold glare and said, "Right. Support Meijibo in exposing this fraud. Our High Martial Arts Department doesn't need people who got in through connections. Our department isn't some garbage recycling station." The female students, though, had very different opinions. You can't deny he looks super hot right now. If he actually has real skills, I'd be totally fine with him staying in our department. Then I could look at his cute face every single day. "Hey, handsome, I'm available." Xiaozhu glared fiercely at the group of boy-crazy girls. Her cheeks puffed up slightly, red with anger. She pouted her little mouth. "Humph, a bunch of shameless flirts. Calm down, young miss. I'll keep them away from him." Zhang Tianxiong could feel the icy anger radiating off Xiaozhu. "I swear he's gotten even more handsome." Chen Xin was staring blankly, completely mesmerized. Then she looked at Meijibo standing next to her. The contrast was ridiculously stark. Anran turned to face Principal Zhou Guoping on the stage. He asked loudly, "Principal, if I may ask, what's the #1 admission requirement for our department?" Almost everyone snickered immediately after he asked. "What kind of stupid question is that? The first requirement is obviously your martial arts exam score. So you, who didn't even take the exam, what right do you have to enter our department?" But Zhou Guoping only answered 2 words: strength. The student suddenly realized at that moment, isn't exam score just a reflection of your actual strength? But what does that have to do with you, Anran? Anran was very satisfied with the principal's response. Then he asked his next question. "I'm already an official student of Modyu University. As long as my strength meets the standard, it's not unreasonable to transfer to the High Martial Arts Department, right?" "Not unreasonable at all," Zhou Guoping said with a squinted smile. "Who knows if your strength actually meets the standard?" Meijibo said snidely from the side. "Exactly. Who really knows?" A bunch of other people chimed in to agree. Anran turned his attention directly to Meijibo. He grinned playfully. "We'll know for sure if we test it, right? What do you say? Why don't you test my strength yourself?" Anran was openly provoking Meijibo. The atmosphere in the entire venue instantly heated up. "Yeah, Meijibo, teach this arrogant, clueless kid a lesson. Or he'll think our High Martial Arts Department has no real fighters. Just break his arms and legs, that's enough. Don't kill him, leave him his life. Make him remember the price of provoking our department." Meijibo looked at Anran with clear disdain in his eyes. He started bragging about his own achievements. "I'm ranked 10th in this year's Modyu martial arts exam." Anran nodded slightly and gave a soft hum. "So you're just a so-called genius, that's all." Anran's tone was extremely casual, almost dismissive. Everyone else was already fuming with anger. "Meijibo is just a genius. What the hell is that supposed to mean?" But the very next second Anran made an even more shocking statement. "Geniuses are exactly the kind of people I beat." That statement blew everyone's mind, looking down on all so-called geniuses. What a fearless, unapologetic madman. That maniac really lucked out, no lie. As soon as he said that, the atmosphere in the venue reached a fever pitch. "Arrogant, so damn arrogant. Never seen a new kid this cocky before." Zhou Guoping nodded with a faint smile. "This is what young people should be like." Xiaozhu smiled and pressed her lips together. She was the only one there who knew how strong Anran really was. Meijibo was even a little weaker than her. Right now, Meijibo looked like a eunuch who just got his balls cut off. He'll blow up at the slightest provocation. Every hair on his body was standing on end. Fine, fine, fine. You want to be that cocky, huh? If I don't beat you so bad you meet your whole dead family today. I'll change my name from Meijibo. Meijibo learned from Chen Xin that Anran was an orphan. All of you get out of the way. I declare this place is our battlefield right now. Veins were popping out on Meijibo's forehead. He roared like a madman. Everyone tactfully stepped to the side. To clear the middle area for the two of them, Chen Xin watched her two ex-boyfriends about to fight and couldn't help feeling pretty pleased with herself. If Enran is stronger than Meijibo, I might just consider getting back together with him. Dean, this doesn't seem right, does it? A teacher frowned tightly and looked at Zhou Guoping. I get the feeling that transfer student is deliberately provoking him. Zhou Guoping looked like he was thoroughly enjoying the show, bobbing his head happily. Young people should be this full of spirit. Before the teacher could finish, Meijibo pulled a golden spear out of nowhere. There was a flood dragon carved on the golden spear. Its blade glowed with a bright, intimidating aura. That's the golden flood dragon demon-slaying spear. Someone in the crowd recognized the spear. That's an S-class weapon. Meijibo had a proud look all over his face. And he had every right to be? His abilities are in the cold weapon and enhancement categories. Combining the two lets him fully unlock the full power of the golden flood dragon demon-slaying spear. So what weapon will Anran pull out to fight back? Everyone turned their attention to Anran. Anran nodded with a smile, then glanced around and headed for the garbage corner. What is Anran doing? Everyone was confused by his actions. Only Xiaoju had a playful glint in her eyes. When Anran picked up a dustpan, the other students burst out laughing. Ha ha ha! No way he doesn't have a weapon, so he's just using a dustpan.
Ha ha ha, that's so disrespectful.
Zhou Guoping became even more interested in Anran. What kind of surprise are you gonna give us? Xiaoju couldn't hold back her laughter anymore. The guard next to her started laughing too. Miss, ever since Anran got here, you haven't stopped smiling. Xiaoju's face changed immediately when she heard that and glared at the talkative guard. She said shyly, nonsense. Meijibo's face had turned dark purple by now. He was radiating pure killing intent. You're insulting me! Anran spread his hands and said helplessly, I really don't have any weapons. Meijibo roared, watch my spear. Chaos spear technique. Meijibo held the golden spear with both hands, swinging it with impressive force. His moves were unpredictable. Sharp golden energy kept spreading out around him, making the crowd gasp over and over. What a powerful spear technique. Just watching it from here, we can feel how strong it is. This must be a second-tier S-class spear technique. You can't even see the moves clearly. Meijibo snorted to himself and charged straight at Anran. A golden flood dragon appeared behind him, roaring up at the sky. But Anran still looked completely calm, totally unfazed by everything. Why are you still so damn confident? Meijibo roared in his head. When Meijibo got right in front of Anran just smiled faintly. Your spear technique is so slow even. 2D ants could see through it. The Ice Saint body ability not only lets Anran use cold weapons to their full potential, but also lets him clearly see the patterns in other people's cold weapon moves. So Anran first swung the dustpan to block Meijibo's golden spear. Also, the Godspeed meteor ability gave him a layer of protective ki. The two weapons clashed, letting out a brilliant golden light. Then the two fought for a few more rounds. Every time Meijibo launched a fierce attack, Anran deflected it effortlessly. Meijibo's golden flood dragon was almost beaten into a tiny loach. Holy crap. A dustpan is actually matching up with a golden spear. All the other students and teachers were stunned. The whole room was shocked, silent. Zhou Guoping nodded very satisfiedly, like he was admiring a work of art. Xiaozu didn't even care about her proper lady etiquette anymore. She doubled over laughing. Looks like I need to get back together with Anran. The two are not even on the same level at all. Qingxing wore a confident smile. Meijibo's face turned as pale as ash. He wailed bitterly in his heart. Why can he always see through my spear moves every single time? Why can he always use that raggedy junk to block my golden spear? Kid, this game ends now. Anran didn't want to drag this fight any longer. He steeled his resolve, seized a clear opening, used the Swift Star movement skill, slammed the dustpan hard, bang. Meijibo went flying straight into the air, soared over the crowd, and crashed hard into the wall. The entire venue fell dead silent. Meijibo's loss was so brutally humiliating. He looked exactly like Yamcha, stuck flat into the wall. His golden demon-slaying spear was also stuck in the wall. The whole scene looked just like an artistic mural. At this point, Meijibo had literally become a work of art. If he didn't have the body enhancement talent, this hit would have left him half paralyzed for good. No way, that can't be real. Chen Xin covered his mouth in total disbelief. His resolve to get back with Anran grew even stronger. Anran is absolutely a massive genius. He'll definitely get tons of training resources for sure. Then I can mooch all kinds of resources off him, just like I mooched his money back in high school. The respectable 10th ranked fighter of Magic City. A level 2 tier 1 high martial artist. Meijibo just lost in such a shameful way. Everyone turned their gaze back to Anran. He looked totally relaxed and content right then. He defeated the top talent cleanly and effortlessly. What an invincible mad lad. Mad lad points plus 2,000. The boys started changing their opinion of Anran. How do I put this? He actually looks kinda nice now. Is he a hidden master or something? He's so freaking good with that dustpan. It's like anything he holds can turn into a godly weapon in his hands. As for the girls, he's already their perfect hot domineering CEO. His strength is just as attractive as his looks. Oh my god, I can't take it anymore. I'm gonna make Anran my new dream guy from now on. Sorry, Kun. I'm gonna use his photos for my fantasies now. Even some closeted gay guys couldn't help swallowing their saliva. But some arrogant students from other schools were staring at Anran right now, with really weird, subtle looks in their eyes. They were still not convinced deep down. So Meijibo lost? That doesn't mean I will lose too. He's only the 10th in Magic City anyway, for no reason at all. Seeing Anran's overwhelming victory made Xiaojue feel proud for no reason. Her heart was pounding with excitement. The corner of her mouth was curled up so high. It was like she was showing off to everyone. Look how amazing my Anran is. Stop just standing there gawking. Hurry, pull him down and take him to the hospital. Zhou Guoping pointed at the miserable Meijibo. He looked a little nervous. Meijibo is a promising martial arts talent after all. We can't let him get crippled. A group of people rushed over. Hurry up, get over here. Oh no, his face is all swollen like a pig's head. Hurry, take him to the school infirmary for treatment. Someone yelled, Chen Xin! Isn't Meijibo your boyfriend? Hurry, come over and help. Chen Xin looked at Meijibo stuck on the wall. A flash of disgust crossed her face. How is he even comparable to Anran? Was I blind before? Looking at the human-shaped dent left on the wall, Zhou Guoping almost couldn't hold back his laughter after they sent Meijibo away. The freshman conference continued as scheduled. Anran found a random seat and sat down. In an instant, he was surrounded by a group of girls who had naughty little plans in mind. They started hitting on Anran aggressively. Oh, hey, Anran! Wanna add me on WeChat? I can send you pictures every day. Mine are really big, you know? But Anran kept acting like a proper gentleman the whole time because he was scared inside, scared that Xiaoyang would cut him into tiny pieces. A level 9 expert isn't someone you mess around with. Eventually, the girls saw how boring he was being, so they lost interest and left. Xiaojue, watching from the side, was furious. Hers aren't even bigger than mine. What's she so cocky about? I'm also way paler than her. What's so great about her anyway? The guard next to her carefully reminded Miss, if you want to sit next to him, we can chase all those vixens away for you. Pfft. Who says I want to sit next to him? Xiaojue looked annoyed and a little flustered. Whoever wants to sit there can sit there. Next, Zhou Guoping explained the rules of the ranking battle. Starting tomorrow. 3-day free-for-all battle on Changhe Island. Unrestricted fighting, except no killing or permanent disabling. You get 100 points for defeating one opponent, 50 points for a draw, 0 points for a loss. You have 1 full day today to prepare. Meeting adjourned. After the meeting, most people headed to Tian Mansion to see if they can use their available new student points to grab some good goodies to boost their odds of winning. Chen Xin originally wanted to make up with Anran right away, but before the meeting even ended, Anran was already gone. Anran, you can't run away from me. Anran was alone, sitting on a park bench on the lawn, shoveling down hot, dry noodles. Oh, right, he hadn't eaten breakfast yet. Zhou Peng sent a message on Weiyan to check up on him. Don't tell me you got locked up in the police station. I got into the senior 5th division. Zhou Peng, whoa. Do you think I'm that easy to fool, Anran? Suit yourself if you don't believe me. Suddenly, a sweet, refreshing fragrance drifted by his side, and the bench swayed slightly. Anran glanced sideways at Xiaojue. She looked just like an arrogant female silver gradient cat, sitting properly right next to him. Their legs seemed to be touching slightly. The autumn wind blew through her black hair, and Ran admitted he zoned out for a split second, and felt a tingle in his chest. Anran snapped back to reality immediately, and carefully shifted his hips, further away from Xiaojue. Then he went back to eating his hot, dry noodles. Anran knew better than to get too involved too fast. Otherwise, if Xiaoyang turns on him one day, he's gonna be totally screwed. Xiaojue instantly puffed up in anger. There's a total babe like me sitting next to you, and you only care about eating. Am I really that unattractive to you? Annoyed, Xiaozhue held two scrolls out in front of Anran, blocking his hot, dry noodles. Anran leaned back, pulled his noodles out, and kept eating. Then he asked carefully, "What's this?" Xiaozhue glared at Anran angrily, still eating, then said grumpily, "It's tier cultivation art and combat skill. I traded my own new student points for them. They're for you." Snap Anran's hand jolted in shock, and his hot, dry noodles fell straight on the ground. He felt so bad for wasting it. Then he looked awkwardly at Xiaozhue's cute, chubby cheeks. "You're giving these to me!" Xiaoguk nodded firmly. Anran suddenly got all proud. "I can't take these. A single S-tier item costs 2,000 points. You spent that much just to give them to me. What are you going to use then? Wait, where did you even get that many points?" Anran's eyes went wide all of a sudden, staring at Xiaozhue. Hearing that, Xiaozhue turned sideways, propped one elbow on the back of the bench, resting her chin on her hand. Her eyes were full of mischief. "Do you think, as the young lady of the Xiao family, I need to learn the school's cultivation arts? That makes sense." Anzen nodded dumbly. "But where did you get 4,000 points, Xiaoxue?" "My dad donates 100 million yuan to Modu University every year." "Is it weird that I get a ton of points as a perk?" Anran nodded in understanding. "Oh right, that's the power of money." But Anran still wanted to refuse. He wanted to make it on his own. People will talk crap if they find out he's living off a girl. Seeing Anran still hesitating, Xiaozhue got a little annoyed, acting like an irritated female cat. "Are you going to take them or not? Thanks." Anran swiftly tucked both scrolls into his arms. Xiaozhue then straightened up and said shyly, "I'm not giving these to you for no reason, okay? You saved my life, so this is my way of paying you back. My dad said, you have to repay a life-saving kindness generously." Anran nodded repeatedly with a big grin. I get it. And this too." Shogaku took out a bank card and handed it to Anran. Anran froze. "Are you trying to sugar baby me?" Xiaozhue's entire face turned bright red instantly. She panicked and stomped on Anran's toe. "Sugar baby my ass!" "Don't you remember there's a bounty for killing xenomorphs? A tier 3 xenomorph is 300,000 yuan. I claimed it for you." Anran held his hurting toe and took the bank card. "The pin is 1598. 0706, why does that look like a phone number?" Xiaoxue rolled her eyes at Anran. "It is my phone number. Is that a problem?" Then Xiaogyuk suddenly pointed at Anran and started stuttering. "I'm telling you, don't even think about adding me on WeChat. I won't agree to that." I sent the friend request. Just accept it." Anran held up his phone and smiled at Xiaozhue. Xiaozhue looked like a spooked little rabbit. "Jumped straight up from her chair," she said as she walked away. "Idiot, I'm ignoring you now." After a short while, WeChat notification popped up. "Summer Snow has accepted your friend request." Anran smiled. He then looked at his bank card, only to find it was a black gold card. Its credit limit is at least 1 million yuan. Anran grinned even wider. He was totally sated, all from living off his girlfriend. After Xiaoxue left, Anran took the cultivation art he got from leeching off his girlfriend and martial skill, then went to the junior cultivation hall. He planned to get a private room to focus on training. The place was pretty crowded. Everyone was busy preparing for the ranking competition that starts tomorrow. When Anran was lining up to pay, a blonde-haired student walked past him. The blonde student looked at Anran. He seemed familiar. Then he yelled out loudly, "Anran, what are you doing here?" Anran thought the voice sounded familiar. He turned around to look. It turned out to be his high school classmate, Zheng Kong. Zheng Kong was also a highly skilled high martial arts student. It is said that he is in the cold weapons department and specializes in swordsmanship, but he is a total snob. Ever since he awakened his powers, he actively cut ties with all his former ordinary friends. According to his own words, friendship with ordinary people would only be an obstacle on his path to becoming a god. As far as Zhang Kong was concerned, Anran was still the guy who, despite getting excellent scores to enter Modu University, one of Daxia's 2 top universities, was still a useless regular person. I'm here to train, obviously. What else would I be doing?" Anran looked at him like he was asking a stupid question. Zhang Kong looked Anran up and down judgmentally, like he just heard total nonsense. "Aren't you an ordinary person? What are you doing in the high martial arts department? I remember access to our department is very strict. Students from your general department can't get in here. Hey, how are things going between you and Chen Xin? The conflict between high martial artists and regular people hasn't ruined your relationship, right?" As he spoke, the look in Zhang Kong's eyes when he stared at Anran showed a hint of contempt. Zhang Kong's words also caught other people's attention. Some people recognized Anran. "Isn't that the guy who force-kissed Xiaozhue last night? How is he still alive? Enran couldn't be bothered to waste words on a condescending jerk like Zhang Kang. He took out his newly received High Martial Arts Department student ID. I've already awakened my powers. I'm now a student of the Comprehensive Department in the High Martial Arts Department. That must be fake. Zhang Kang obviously couldn't believe it. He reached out to snatch it to take a look. Enran dodged immediately by leaning to the side and put his student ID back. Don't waste my time. Zhang Kang sneered after being shut down. You have a guilty conscience. Hey, are you gonna rent the room or not? Pay up. The counter staff had already gotten fed up with them wasting time. He looked visibly pissed off. Enran paid the fee and took the key card for room 108. He dropped a line saying, I can't be bothered with a petty jerk like you. Zhang Ka took the key card for room 109. He smiled at Enran and said, I'm right next door to you. Just a friendly reminder. Don't get scared by the noise I make later, okay? Zhang Kang then swaggered into room 109. Enran made a gagging face behind his back. Enran entered room 108. Inside the several hundred square foot room, stacked against the wall were a bunch of iron dummies made specifically for target practice. Enran opened the 2 scrolls to take a look. The cultivation art was called Nightmare. When mastered to perfection, when an enemy makes eye contact with you, they will fall into an endless dream and even end up having a mental breakdown. It is a typical psychic-type cultivation art. Enran figured Xiaoxiu had heard from Xiaoshen that he had psychic-type talent. He then looked at the martial skill. It was called Asura's Single Slash. When fully mastered, a single slash of it. In the eyes of a second-tier martial artist. Looks like it can split the heavens and earth. Enran was a little frustrated. Why did they give me a saber skill? Enran doesn't have his own personal weapon right now, so the ideal situation for him was to practice a fist-based martial skill. But the training rooms are usually stocked with some common unranked cold weapons. I'll just practice with the saber here first. We'll head to Tiangong Pavilion later to pick a proper blade. Enran looked it up on his phone. Both are classic Tier 2 S-Class Divine Cultivation Arts. And martial skills have tiers that match the realm of high-level cultivators. Usually cultivators of a certain tier can only practice arts and skills of the same tier. Of course, after a cultivator's realm improves, their cultivation arts and martial skills can also be upgraded through specific methods. Time to get to work, right? Enran stretched first, then pulled up the system panel. Villain points 20,000. Enran smiled. He had saved up this many villain points and didn't spend them carelessly, exactly for this moment of focused cultivation. Alright, first, help me upgrade Nightmare to perfection level. Proficiency levels for cultivation arts and martial skills are divided into Novice, Beginner, Minor Success, Major Success, Perfection. Only when you reach perfection level have you truly mastered the cultivation art or martial skill. But reaching perfection level is extremely difficult. It's very common for a cultivator to raise their realm, but their arts and skills are still not at perfection. 30 seconds later, Enran felt a burning heat in his eyes. 2 golden beams shot out from his eyes, heading straight for the human-shaped target by the wall and pierced right through it. 10,000 villain points, used to upgrade Tier 2 S-Class Cultivation Art Nightmare to perfection level. This achievement is the result of 3 years of hard cultivation. You are so diligent. Enran took a deep breath and wiped the sweat off his body, thinking he really was way too hardworking. He even sweated this much after all. Next, upgrade One Blade Asura to perfection level. 30 seconds later, Enran felt a heat wave wash over his body. Done. Perfection level reached. 10,000 villain points used to upgrade Tier 2 S-Class Martial Skill. One Blade Asura to perfection level. This is the result of 3 years of grueling cultivation work. You are an absolute genius. Ha ha ha. I really am so hardworking. Spent so much effort on this. Enran was beaming with joy, then stood up. He checked the panel again. Cultivation Art, Nightmare. Tier 2 S-Class. Perfection level, upon eye contact. Force the target to mentally relive their most terrifying traumatic experience. Martial Skill, One Blade Asura. Tier 2 S-Class, Perfection level. Blade transforms into the King of Hell, unstoppable wherever it goes. Enran smiled and walked towards a corner of the room, and pulled out an ordinary-looking long blade. The moment he wrapped his hand around the hilt, Enran felt a warm current flow through his hand. He then walked over to the human-shaped target on the right, gripped the hilt with both hands, raised the blade and struck down. One Blade Asura. A deafening boom rang out. A scorching blue wave rose into the air like a giant dragon and instantly transformed into the figure of the King of Hell, oozing with endless majesty and dominance, surging violently towards the human-shaped target. Boom! A loud explosion went off. The human-shaped target was sliced clean in half on the spot. The sharp blade cut through the air like lightning. And did not stop there. It continued charging forward like a ferocious wild beast. Right after that came a crisp crack sound. Even the extremely sturdy steel wall could not withstand this powerful force and was easily sliced open with a gash. The blue wave, like a raging flood, quickly poured into the next room, causing a massive commotion like a violent storm. 3 minutes earlier, in room 109, Zhang Kang held a bronze sword and swung it at the human-shaped target on his left. A 3-meter-long white light shot out and hit the target with loud crackling sounds. The target only wobbled slightly. Zhang Kang was super excited because it looked like he'd improved a bit today. When he came yesterday, his Tai Shang sword art at minor success level couldn't even leave a scratch on the target. But now he could damage it a little. You have to know, the human-shaped targets are made of precious, S-class material space mystic iron, which is unbelievably hard. That's a huge improvement. I'm probably a once-in-a-lifetime genius too. Zhang Kang yelled out excitedly. Right after that, a cracking sound came through the wall. A blue King of Hell blade burst through the wall from next door and instantly sliced the human-shaped target in half in a second, then charged straight at Zhang Kang. What the hell? Zhang Kang's heart dropped and immediately ducked to the side to dodge. His bronze sword got caught in the attack and was violently ripped out of his hand. After getting over the initial shock, Zhang Kang, still shaken, picked up his bronze sword, then carefully approached the hole in the wall. His face was pale with rage. If I remember correctly, the room opposite is Enran's, right? No way, that's absolutely impossible. I must have remembered wrong. S+ grade divine weapon. You can pick it up. Then Zhang Kang saw Enran's eyes. Enran gave a nightmare-like smile. Zhang Kang froze immediately. The light in his eyes faded away completely. A creepy scene popped up in his mind out of nowhere. The whole world around him turned blood red. He was completely surrounded by several big men with tanned skin who only wore underwear. These big men had a weird, subtle smile on their faces. Zhang Kang felt a chill run up his spine. Then came some unspeakable images. Zhang Kang tried to scream, but found he couldn't make any sound at all. 1 minute later, crack! Zhang Kang knelt on the ground, holding his head, trembling hard. Hey Zhang Kang, you doing okay? Enran waved and smiled at Zhang Kang through the hole in the wall. Zhang Kang jolted all over. He lifted his head, his face as pale as ashes. He finally recognized Enran's face, pointed at him, trembling all over, and stammered. You did all this, didn't you? When did you get this badass? Enran gestured with the knife in his hand and smiled proudly. No big deal, just testing my skills a little. Enran made a slashing motion with the knife. Zhang Kang thought he was gonna attack him. He twitched violently and passed out from fear right away, successfully counterattacked the snobby jerk. What a tough guy who never takes losses. Rogue points, Puz 1000. Wait, I was just gesturing at you. Enran was speechless. Then Enran put the knife back where it belonged and left without looking back. If I don't leave now, I'll get caught and have to pay for the damage later. A few minutes later, curses came from the training hall. What the hell? Who punched a hole through the wall? Enran rushed straight to the Heavenly Palace Hall. It's located in the center of the High Martial Arts Department. It's a black and white building over 10 stories tall that covers tens of thousands of square meters. This place houses the century-old essence of the High Martial Arts Department of Maodu University. It was already packed with people by now. Enran went straight to the cold weapons and armor zone. Compared to popular zones like the cultivation technique and martial skill zones, this zone is a lot less crowded. That's because most people already have their own weapons and armor. They don't need to replace them anytime soon. People who come here usually just want to get upgrades or maintenance work done. Enran walked down the central path of the weapons zone. All kinds of traditional Chinese weapons were displayed on both sides. The ones on open display are all low-grade weapons. Very few people bother looking at them. The staff here are mostly slacking off too, playing online squad games like crazy, completely ignoring Enran's presence. Enran had checked beforehand. Same grade weapons cost twice as much as cultivation techniques and martial skills. That's because weapons aren't divided by cultivation realm, only by grade. They range from the lowest F grade to the highest SSS grade. Anyone of any realm can use them. It's just a question of whether you can bring out their full power. Enran's 1,000 points were only enough for a B-grade weapon, but whatever, B-grade is fine. In Enran's hands, even a crutch and a dustpan can have power comparable to an S-grade weapon. Hey, isn't that Enran? A hearty voice suddenly came from his right. Enran turned his head to look, immediately straightened up, bowed, and said, "Hello, Dean Zhou." It was Dean Zhou Guoping, and next to him was a mature woman, wearing a white professional shirt and a tight skirt. Black stockings on her slender legs, Great curvy figure, dyed blue hair, tied in a ponytail, and black-rimmed glasses. The woman looked super arrogant, like she was looking down on Ayn Rand through her nostrils. "You're Ayn Rand. You really do look like a pretty boy who lives off women." The woman's tone was like she was talking to a piece of trash. That made Ayn Rand really annoyed. Live off women? Bullshit. I got where I am with my own hard work. Okay, fine, maybe there's a little truth to that. But even if that's true, you don't have to say it out loud in public, right? But Ayn Rand quickly realized. Is she from the Xiao family? Zhou Guoping's eyes were darting around wildly right now, and he figured out what was going on from their conversation. My guess was totally right. Xiaoyang has already taken a liking to this kid and ran. This is Killan. She's the person in charge of the weapons zone. Zhou Guoping introduced with a smile. Thank God she's not from the Zhao family. Enran breathed a sigh of relief in his mind. What the actual fuck? If you're not from the Zhao family, why are you being so snarky to me? Oh, she's Xiaojue's cousin! Enran stared at Kaylan, stunned. I was being way too naive about this. Kaylan really has a bone to pick with Enran. She thought back to what happened that morning, when she was wandering around the cultivation art and combat skill section. She saw Xiaojue picking out combat skills and cultivation arts. Xiaojue, what are you doing here? As a member of the Xiao family, it's super weird that you're picking these at school. You're getting these for someone else, right? Whoa, Xiaojue was startled. She blushed and stammered, Then she nodded reluctantly, admitting they were for Enran. Huh? Kaylan almost fainted. Are you kidding me? You just got kissed once, and now you're giving away good stuff to outsiders. Given Xiaojue's status as the young lady of the Xiao family, Kaylan couldn't really scold her. But Enran was a different story. Cut back to the present. Kaylan was seething with anger. What on earth does Uncle even see in her? Sure, she's super good looking, and she's got real skills, but she has no family background at all. Kaylan is a total snob when it comes to family status. Right now, Enran and Kaylan absolutely can't stand each other. Seeing the atmosphere was tense, Zhou Guoping quickly tried to change the subject. Oh right, Enran, you came here to pick a weapon, right? You don't have your own weapon yet, do you? No thanks. Enran had a total scowl on her face. Looks like some tiger here doesn't want me around. Kaylan frowned immediately when she heard that. Who are you calling a tiger? Zhou Guoping chuckled and said, Come on, don't say that. As long as there's no valid reason, no one can kick you out, right? Teacher Kaylan stayed silent. Zhou Guoping asked again, What kind of weapon are you looking for? A saber. I just learned a new saber technique. Enran scratched her cheek with her right index finger and said, I want to get a good saber. Kaylan huffed internally. It's a gift from Xiaojue, huh? But you only have 1,000 points right now. You can only afford a B-grade one. Zhou Guoping looked really disappointed. A hero deserves a legendary weapon, you know? Suddenly, Zhou Guoping's eyes lit up. Hey, isn't there a super powerful legendary weapon that only costs 1,000 points? As soon as Zhou Guoping said that, Kaylan got annoyed. Dinzhou, isn't Liu Zhao checking that one out? Zhou Guoping leaned over and whispered with a smile. Liu Zhao has been eyeing that for 3 years. If he waits any longer, he'll graduate. Anyway, it won't hurt to let her. Try it out, right? Their conversation made Ayn Rand super curious. She looked at both of them eagerly. Let me see this thing. Kaylan glanced at Ayn Rand, feeling a little competitive. Fine. I should let you know how out of your league you are. The three of them went to a special exhibition area. A group of guards were surrounding a crystal platform. On the platform was a 1-meter-long, very ordinary-looking ring pommel saber. A handsome young man with dyed white hair and a white top was standing in front of the platform, sighing at the ring pommel saber. Next to him was a middle-aged man wearing a jacket. Anran and the other two squeezed into the crowd to watch Liu Zhao's attempt. Liu Zhao stared at the ring pommel saber for a long time, then suddenly made up his mind. He carefully reached out his right hand and grabbed the hilt, then slowly lifted his hand. Anran noticed that Liu Zhao's hand seemed to be shaking. Is it the saber's fault or his? Then the blade of the ring pommel saber started to turn slightly red. A look of surprise appeared on Liu Zhao's face. This saber is called Bird Hunt. It's the last work of legendary forging master Yemozi. Zhou Guoping started explaining to Anran beside her. It's an S+ grade legendary weapon. Whoa, Anran's eyes lit up. From the memories of her past self, Yemozi's name was known by everyone. He was the top weapon forging master in the Great Xia Kingdom. He forged several S-grade legendary weapons. Sadly, he passed away 3 years ago. Wait, Anran suddenly noticed something off. Why is there such a weird grade as S+? Kaylan then started explaining snappily from the side. Master Yemozi's biggest wish in life was to forge an SS-grade legendary weapon. So when he knew he didn't have much time left, he gave it his all to forge Bird Hunt. That means Bird Hunt was made according to SES grade standards, but the master passed away too early, so Bird Hunt is an unfinished product. But its quality is obviously way higher than S grade. Suddenly, Kaylan's tone turned serious. She stared straight at Ayn Rand. Since Bird Hunt is unfinished, it's extremely hard to tame. Yoja is a top senior student from the Cold Weapons Department. He's been trying to tame it for 3 years and still failed. Kaylan's hidden meaning was super obvious. Who do you think you are, Ayn Rand? To make a fool of yourself here? But Ayn Rand looked very serious as she met Kaylan's disdainful gaze. I'm gonna try anyway.